If you can't, let me know in the comments. Welcome to UK4UKR.com. Mission accomplished. Ollie, the dog, has been dropped off in Stockport. Bit of a strange place to have a port. It's in the middle of the land. There's any way of getting there from the sea? I don't know. Maybe the Manchester Ship Canal comes through Stockport. I do not know. Anyway, the important thing is that we arrived at about 2 o'clock in the morning last night. Me and Natasha and Ollie the dog and Amanda and Lawrence, who are the sponsor family for Natasha and her kids, offered to put me up for the night. And to be honest with you, I didn't relish the idea of driving for 3 hours back to my home in Durham and getting there at 5 in the morning after doing all that driving. I did need a little bit of a rest. So I had a few hours kip. Let's just see if I'm the right way. Yeah. Good. Okay, what am I on here? Kingsway. I'm on the 834. The 834 is a crazy road. It goes on forever. It goes all the way down to the very bottom of the country, the 834. The Kingsway, as it's known, through Manchester. Anyway, so yeah, I stayed over, and when we got there, Natasha just crashed out straight away. I had a cup of tea. And I could tell Lawrence and Amanda were kind of like, finish your tea, Graham, we want to go to bed, knackered. But I've got to get back to Durham. I have a treehouse to build today, a long promised treehouse, which Marcus over in France, he's given me a little bit of help with it. If I had the kind of crazy money that some people have, I would fly Marcus over for the weekend. I would make a treehouse together, make a little video of it, but unfortunately I don't. So I'm going for a speed trap here, so I've got to be quite alert. It's not like being on a motorway where you can just sort of, all you got to worry about is not hitting the other cars. This is all going into Manchester here. Making my way ever so slowly towards the M60. I'm old enough to remember when the M60 first opened as a complete motorway. Like when I first drove down the M62, didn't have a brake in the middle. You were on the M62 from Liverpool to Hull. Now you have a little break where the M62 becomes the M60. Although the junction numbers sync up, which is quite cool. But I still think that I'm not going to bore you to death with the naming convention of motorways, but it should be the first number of the motorway should be the section of the pie. Imagine England, not Britain, but England is split into 6 pieces of pie, like a Trivial Pursuit counter, and each of those segments starts with a different number. So going out from London, so if you are north to the northeast of London, you start with a 1, M11, etc. If you're east, southeast, you start with a 2, and the M20, obviously going down to Kent. You've got the M3, and then go around like, spokes, go around like numbers on the clock. The M4 goes to Bristol. You've got the M5, which is the Liverpool area. You've got the M57, the M58 around Liverpool. And and then you've got the 6 area, and it's supposed to be which part the motorway starts in, right? So the M62 makes sense if it starts in Manchester and ends in Hull, but doesn't make any sense if it starts in Liverpool like the M62 does. Junction 5, because we didn't bother building the first 4 junctions. I personally think that the M62, just the bit between Liverpool and Manchester, should be renamed renumbered the M52. That's my belief, and no one's going to shake me of it. Anyway, sorry, I'm blathering on about motorway numbers. I'm on the M60 at the moment, and I was going to say, I remember when they first opened the M60 back in 1999, 2000 or something. And I actually did a lap. I drove around drove around the M60 because I lived in Manchester at the time. I thought, oh, I'll do a lap of the M60. That's how cheap petrol was, kids. Just filled up. It's like 90 quid. And like that's not even a full tank. Holy mackerel. And that wasn't a really expensive motorway service station. Oh no, that was Sainsbury's way off the A34 there. Anyway, so yes, I'm heading back to Durham now. Jobs are good. Doggy has been reunited with Natasha and her family in Stockport, and hopefully when Maria was up when I got up, but Natasha was still asleep. Mark, her son, was also still asleep. Did leave quite early, so they're going to send me a picture of the family with the dog, with Ollie the dog, Oliver the dog, and I will be posting that on social media when I get to Durham, which hopefully should be in about 2 hours and 22 minutes, according to the Googles. Whether it takes that much time or a bit longer, I do not know. Although having those, you know, when you start a journey and you have your journey regrets, where you think, oh shit, you know what I should have done? Do you know what I should have done? I'm having one of them at the moment. I should have filled my travel cup with coffee. That's what I should have done before I left. Completely forgot. Now I don't have a drink, which wasn't a problem when I was being quiet, but now I'm talking, kind of want a drink. So that probably wasn't the best of ideas there. So yeah, we went over to a little town near Bitburg in Germany, which is near to the border with Luxembourg. It was a good 18 hours of driving to get there. Well, I say 18 hours, we did stop a couple of times, once to get new brake pads fitted and once when I was on the Channel Tunnel. But other than that, yeah, pretty much 18 hours straight driving. And then yesterday we drove back, and honestly it was crazy. We had the most torrential rain I've ever experienced in I'll say Northern Europe. I've driven through pretty torrential rain in Sicily before, but this was insane. This is like monsoon. This is like something that we get in Boca del Toro and Panama. It's just absolute sheets of rain. Everyone on the motorway slowed right down to a crawl. You just couldn't see anything. Everyone's got the hazard lights on, and and then there was a big queues of traffic in France, jammed up in. Then when we finally got to the Channel Tunnel an hour later than we were supposed to, than I had the ticket for, we not only had another hour's faff trying to get the dog into the country with the change in bureaucracy that has come because your nan voted for Brexit because she hates foreigners. Thanks for that, Nan. And coffee. Thank you, Darren. Darren just thrown £10 into the super chat fund for coffee. I will pull over and get a coffee at some point after. Well, do you know what? I can't touch the camera, so I don't know if I can actually stop this. I need a stick. Can you touch your phone with a stick? Like if I got a pencil and it had a rubber end on it, and I just touched the screen with the rubber end of the pencil, would that be against the law? Someone needs to look this up for me and put it in the comments. But yeah, I forgot what I was blithering on about then. Oh yeah, we were just recounting the story of what we did. Sorry that the camera's bouncing around quite a lot. I should have secured it a little bit better before I started driving. I forget how bouncy the motorways are in Manchester. We got there, and basically we couldn't get the dog into the country because we needed this form. It was an ID 1314 form, which is for self-quarantine in your home. You have to have someone come to your house and make sure you can self-quarantine your cat or dog or ferret or horse. They're your options, boys and girls: cat, dog, ferret, horse. I love the fact that ferrets are in there. There must have been someone at the meeting who put their hand up and said, what about ferrets? What about people who want to take their ferrets on holiday? What about them, eh? And that's a Yorkshire thing. Is that a Yorkshire thing? People in Yorkshire will have ferrets. Like everyone else has a dog or a cat. Some posh people have horses, but no. we have a ferret and we know how to use it. So, so the form that they wanted was literally some pages of A4 printed sheets, and then this tiny little number at the bottom, and they showed me an example of what the form was that we needed to have with us, and it was an exact duplicate in every single way, except the number at the very bottom in the footer of the document, instead of it being 131, was like 113. British bureaucracy at its finest. So obviously, you know, I did what I do, you know, turned on a bit of the old Scouse charm. I do have some Irish in me, you know. I think that's where I get the gift of the gab, and sweet talk them into saying, look, you know, I was considering, right, here you go, because I had a copy of this document on my email that Amanda had sent me. What I was going to do, and this might be a top tip for anyone else who's stuck in the same situation, I was just going to literally get the PDF and open it in Photoshop on my laptop in the car park and change the number on the bottom and then send it to them electronically with the number changed, because all it was the form number. Everything else was the same. It'd been filled out by a vet, it had been signed by a vet who had gone to the premises to make sure that it was okay to keep your animal under self-quarantine. You have to keep your animal under self-quarantine now for 3 months after bringing it back from Europe. The reason for this is because of Brexit, because your racist uncle voted for Brexit. Up till then, you could just use your EU pet passport, which Oliver has an EU pet passport, that's no problem. But he could go to every other country in Europe pretty much, except for the UK and possibly Belarus, which I think is the only country in Europe that still has a death penalty. Anyway, moving swiftly on. Yeah, Brexit. It's turned out just as shit as I predicted. I hate to say I told you so, but, and it's a big but, we're just going past the Trafford Centre now, I think. Also the AJ Bell Stadium, whatever that is. Is that Man United's new ground? What a big bridge going over the river there. Is that the River Mersey? Is it Mersey? So the River Mersey does come to Manchester. Hence the song Mersey Paradise by the Stone Roses, which for some reason, it was written by Ian Brown, I think. And his grandmother, he told me this, I met him a couple of times actually. His grandmother's from Fazakerley in Liverpool. Ian Brown, the lead singer of the Stone Roses. He's a bit of a knob. I think he's an anti-vaxxer, but you know, he wasn't made lead singer of Manchester's quintessential baggy band in the early 90s for his knowledge of epidemiology. Anyway, so in the song Mersey Paradise, they actually sing River Cool instead of Liverpool in the lyrics. It says River Cool is where I belong in my Mersey Paradise, which I fob it off. Because they're a Manchester band, you see. I don't think John Squire was very happy about singing out how great Liverpool is. Although the lyrics are a little bit, you know, tongue-in-cheek, if you actually bother to read them. Anyway, moving swiftly on. So we got Oliver onto the Channel Tunnel, and we went through, but unfortunately, again, more Brexit bureaucracy. I was, well, this might have been the case before, I don't know, but I bought the ticket for the tunnel using Kieran, the van driver's courier account, what's it called? Goods account. Transport. You know, taking stuff, let's just say courier. I bought it using his courier account that he had, and I was really annoying me now, I can't think of the right word for it. You know, what container ships take? Cargo. Yeah, is it cargo account? I don't know. Let's call it a cargo account. I was using his cargo account, and apparently you can't take animals with you. You can't take pets when you're using a courier account. So basically, if you were Clint Eastwood in Any Which Way But Loose, you wouldn't be able to bring Clive your orangutan with you into the United Kingdom. Although it was dogs, cats, horses and ferrets. I don't think you're allowed to have orangutans and bring them across state lines, national boundaries. Anyway, we're protecting our borders now from cats and dogs, and yeah, doing a really good job of that. So anyway, I had to essentially just bin off that ticket. I've got to try and get a refund from it. Now that ticket for Kieran, through Kieran, was £120 for the transit, and because I had to get rid of it, I had to get a normal standard ticket. Now if you get the ticket a few days in advance, which I could have done had I known that this was a rule, I would have got a discount. But as I was buying the ticket on the day, it was £200. 200 freaking pounds, which is just an appalling amount of money. I mean, for God's sake, think about how cheap flights are. This is not even to get a seat on a train. Like, just you drive your car onto a train, and this is bonkers. Anyway, so I had to pay that. Sorry, everyone. And yeah, we managed to get through. But, and here's another problem, when I bought the ticket, it was literally 1 minute past 6 o'clock, and so I couldn't get a ticket for the 6 to 8 time slot. It wouldn't allow me to do that. Thanks, Brexit. So instead, I had to get on the 8 o'clock train. Well, I think it was like the 10 to 8 train was the one that we eventually got onto, because we kind of snuck in. We kind of went a little bit earlier than we were called for. I think we were L. I think we were the L group. We just went in a little bit, a couple of letters early, and they actually let us on. But it did mean that we didn't get back to the UK until 7:30 in the evening, and I was hoping to be back in the UK for 3:30. So obviously this all put a bit of time on the whole journey and everything, and it meant that we, in the end, didn't get to Stockport until about 1:45 in the morning, 10 to 2 in the morning, I think it was. I had to have a couple of stops along the way. I think Natasha was quite keen just to get back, but I was like, no, I'm going to take it easy, and also, take some breaks. The mad thing is now, I think this government is trying to make it illegal to sleep in your car. So, if you're doing a big journey, and you think, I'm a bit tired, I'll just sleep in the car for an hour or so at the side of the road, not on a hard shoulder, but in a lay-by or something. The police are not, this government's, high priority with the cost of living and everything. They're going to make it so that you, they can knock on the window, give you a fine for sleeping in your car. They'd rather, I don't know, what, you keep on driving, I assume. Because heaven forbid that you actually, I don't know, stop and freshen up. But in Australia, sleeping in your car, especially out in the sort of Northern Territory, in the outback, it's encouraged. Like, not while you're driving, obviously, but they definitely have these little rest stops that have toilets, sometimes a shower as well, and basically it says, look, don't keep driving, just have a kip and drive when you're feeling a bit refreshed. So yeah, that's the reason why I didn't press on last night. Really didn't fancy another 3-hour drive on top of everything else, and then arriving in Durham at 5 in the morning at the earliest start out. You know what, I'd just fall asleep, I think, and probably, I don't know, probably not wake up. And I say that though, I set my alarm for 7:45 this morning, and Lawrence had said, we'll have breakfast ready for 8 o'clock, so I thought, well, 7:45, get as much sleep as I can, and then I'll have a quick breakfast and head out. And I just woke up at 6:30 in the morning. I was absolutely wide awake at 6:30 this morning. So if you're on Twitter this morning, you may have noticed me liking your tweet. So yeah. Oh, and thanks to all the people who have followed me on Twitter now. I really appreciate it. Obviously, pictures with an adorable puppy is always going to do well on Twitter, and obviously it was Feel Good Friday, Follow Back Friday. So I managed to get a whole new bunch of followers, but I haven't followed everyone back yet. It's been driving. Can't follow. Can't tap and follow while I'm driving. A bit dangerous. But yeah, so I will follow you all back. Don't worry, do follow everybody. Interestingly, I sometimes go on Twitter and I find that I'm being followed by like famous people, like big blue tick accounts and stuff, and I'm like, why are they following me? A few months ago, Victoria Derbyshire from the BBC was following me. I was like, why the hell is Victoria Derbyshire following me on Twitter? And then the other day, it was actually the International Day Against Homophobia, Biphobia and Transphobia, or Ida Hobbit as it's known. I discovered that I was being followed by Stonewall UK, which is fantastic. I'm like, oh, thanks Stonewall, so I followed them back. But yeah, Twitter, I feel like I'm a little part of a community until Elon Musk takes it over, and then I'll probably leave. Although Elon Musk, the famous digger of tunnels to nowhere, or Space Karen as he's also known, he is a vaporware salesman. He has said that he's going to do a lot of stuff that he never actually did. You remember when he was going to revolutionize bricks? Do you remember when he was going to rescue those children in Thailand in the cave with a submarine that he was going to invent? Do you remember that? Yeah. But he ended up calling the guy who was actually doing the rescue a paedophile instead, and getting away with it because he had a very rich, well-paid lawyer. Saul Goodman. Oh God! Right, here we go. All right, sorry guys. Oh man, sorry, I'm just slowing down a lot because you don't think to talk about speed traps. They've just got signs up there on the motorway saying 40 miles an hour. So we've gone down from 70 to 40. It's a reduction of 30 miles an hour. And it's got the old signs up saying there's I hate driving on British motorways. It's just stress. It's just absolute stress. It's like playing Super Mario Kart, but just really a boring version of it. You know, there's little traps. It's just blue shells as far as the eye can see. Yeah, so just went out under a gantry. You see cars whizzing past. I'm doing 40 now in the inside lane. There's no other signs. There was just one sign saying 40. This is so dangerous. I hate doing this. I feel like I'm driving too slow for the motorway. No explanation given. Okay, let's just trundle along at 40 on this massive 8-lane motorway. Oh, I see. So the lane that I'm in is closing. Okay, we're just coming up to the junction 19 for Middleton and Haywood. Okay. Can I touch my phone now since I'm going at like 40 miles an hour? Or, as I like to see on my speedo, because my speedo's in just in kilometres. I'm going at 65 kilometres, which I think computes to 40 miles an hour. If someone wants to look that up and let me know, I'd really appreciate it. So yeah, I woke up at 6:30 this morning and had my breakfast at 8, and then yeah, hit the road. But like I say, Natasha and Mark were not up when I left, and I did want to get a photo of us all together, but I thought, I've got to get back. And this is their thing. So I've asked Lawrence and Amanda if they would be so kind as to there's a broken down lorry. There you go. Lorry's broken down. if they'll be so kind to send me a picture of the family with Ollie, and I'll be able to put that on social media. That brings us up to date, I think. Whoa! Into hyperspace! Back up to national speed limit. I love the way they don't tell you what it is. You just gotta know. When you know, you know. It's taking about 115 kilometres an hour now. I'm doing over 100 kilometres an hour. You see, this way kilometres are better. I'm 2 hours and 4 minutes away. Durham. That famous 80s band. 121 miles. I'll tell you what's also a bit weird, like driving on the left and then driving on the right and then driving on the left again. Especially when you've been driving for a very long time and you've been on a motorway. Now you don't have to think when you're on a motorway. It's just a case of going forward and try not to hit anything. The only thing you have to do to stay alive is to drive. Punch it, Chewy. Thanks, Darren. Indeed. If anyone can tell me what song that lyric's from, I'll be very impressed. But yeah, when you've been on the motorway all day and then you finally get off the motorway and you're driving down these little country lanes that might not even have road markers in the middle, lane markers, I should say. And you have this crisis of confidence where you're like, am I on the left? Am I on the left? Am I on the right? Am I on the left? And what I used to do actually, which I always think is a good idea, when I used to wear a watch, which in a way I feel like I should still wear a watch. I used to have this great watch that was a compass watch. I would point north, tell me which way north was. That watch saved my life so many times. This is back in the day before Google Maps and things. And don't forget, talk about Google Maps, just take it as read now. When I visited every country in the world without flying, I did not have a smartphone. I did not have Google Maps. We had no bananas in the war. Oh, we had no Google Maps when I was driving around Botswana. Oh no, sorry, I wasn't driving around. I wasn't allowed to. I was taking public transport. But yeah, so we just try to take that for granted. But what I used to do, right, is I'd have my watch on my left wrist like a normal person, and then when I was in a country where I had to drive on the right, I would swatch. Hey, sorry, we just hit the Milne Road dip signal. So I was saying I took my wristwatch off my left wrist and put it onto my right wrist when I was driving in Spain, for instance, or Greece, and that would remind me, sort of like, because you feel it, it feels like, why have I got that on? Because I've got to stay on the right hand side. So that's a good way to remember. There you go. Many years ago, I was quizzed by Jamie Theakston on the radio about which side of the road various countries drove on, and I got them all right. Like 5 or 6 of them, and then the last one was Samoa, and I said, well, they used to drive on the right, but a couple of years ago they switched and they now drive on the left. And he said, oh, well, on my answer card here, I've got that they drive on the right. So I just need to go and check it on Google. And they checked it in real time, fact-checking people, because it can be done. Their producer got on the old internet, fired it up, turned over the handle, got the steam going, got a good head of steam on the internet, and found out, yes, they did switch from driving on the right to driving on the left. The reason being, Samoa was influenced by America, hence American Samoa still being an overseas territory of America, and Samoa itself is heavily influenced as well. And not only did they used to drive on the right, I just looked around, not only did they, going forward, you're not allowed to reverse. It's like Star Trek by the firm. Otherwise we can't find reverse. So they not only started driving on the left, the reason being is that New Zealand nearest biggest country, and Australia, big country, and Japan, which is in the northern hemisphere. However, they all drive on the left, so they all have right-hand drive cars. And for Samoa to get left-hand drive cars, they had to bring stuff over from America, which was very expensive. So they thought, sod this, get cheaper cars. If they are left-hand drive, we can get them from Australia or from New Zealand or from Japan, all of whom drive on the left. Sorry, right-hand drive cars driving on the left. And what they also did was they skipped across the date line. This happened in December 2011, and they didn't have, I think it was in December the 29th that year, did not happen in Samoa. You can check this if you like, the actual exact date. I'll be very impressed if you can get it for me. It might have been January 2012, because I was there in January of 2012. They just skipped across the international date line, so they lost a day. There was a day that didn't exist in Samoa, and they had decided that they were going to be on the Australia, New Zealand, Japan, China side of the date line, which also makes sense because if you think about it this way, if you are a day behind everybody else because you are right on the date line and it's the end of the day for everybody else when you have the start of your day, it means that Mondays and Fridays are out, because on a Monday, everywhere else in the world, it's Sunday for you, and on a Friday for you, it's Saturday for everyone else in the world that you would normally converse with. That would be okay if your main customers or your main trade was with America to some extent, but if your main trade is with New Zealand and Australia and the other Pacific Islands, all of which are on the Australia side of the date line, even all of Kiribati, which actually stretches quite a way into the Western Hemisphere. In fact, Kiribati is the only country in the world that straddles all four hemispheres. A little bit of a fun trivia there. It's also spelled Kiribati, but pronounced Kiribati, but that's another story. So the weird thing that came out of this, or has come out of it, is that American Samoa, which is only a few miles away from Samoa, independent Samoa, is still on the American side of the date line. So if you are ever in Samoa and you want to have a day and then go to bed, get on a ferry, get on a boat, wake up the next day and have that day again, maybe your birthday, maybe an anniversary, maybe the turn of the millennium, but I don't know. If you want to have a day again, you can do that by staying in Samoa for the Saturday, have a few drinks, Saturday night, get on a boat, get taken over to American Samoa, and then you can have the Saturday again. It'll be the same day again. And when I did that, it was a Sunday. It was a pretty good Sunday, actually. I had 2 Sundays and no Tuesday, because then we went back across the date line to go to Tonga. Cool story, bro. Great work, Graham. You're a legend. Oh, thank you very much, Plum Duff. That's very kind of you. I'm a legend, but I got the job done. That's what I like. I like it when things get done. I get very frustrated with people who just talk about stuff. Oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I get very sort of agitated about that. Oh, we're crossing over the boundary from Lancashire into Yorkshire. The White Rose of Yorkshire now. The famous losers of the Battle of Bosworth. Sorry, Yorkshire. You Brexit voting dicks. Although, to be fair, Leeds voted for me. I think everyone else voted for me. I love it when a plan comes together, said Darren. Yeah. Well, you know, they just talk about stuff, go and do it. Go and do it. But I do appreciate the fact that most people can't just drop what they're doing on any given Thursday and go and drive to Germany or Ukraine or whatever, because jobs, kids, school, etc. So I am free in that way that I can do it, but I do feel like since I can't do it, I should. And maybe I find it a little bit frustrating that some members of the older generation, not all of them by any means, by any stretch of the imagination, but some members of the older generation who have lots and lots of money, because the house that they bought for £2.50 in 1961 is now worth £250 million, and they have so much money they don't know what to do with it, and they have all this spare time because they don't work and haven't worked for 25 years because they got early retirement, because that was a thing that you could do on a full salary back in the 80s, but you can't do it anymore because, you know, the young are just being squeezed like you would not believe. But yeah, there's a lot of people who could be doing this. They could be. They've got the money to do it themselves. They don't need to go online and beg and say, please go to UK4UKR.com. They don't need to make live streaming videos. They can literally pay for it themselves to go and do this, to simply drive to Ukraine, drop some stuff off at the border. You don't have to go into Ukraine, just drop the stuff off the border and take some refugees where they need to go. There are some people who are doing it. There are some retired people who are fantastic and they are doing this. And I met a couple who, the guy voted for Brexit for God's sake, but he was actually doing it. Whereas I think there's some people who could be doing this, but aren't. And I think, what else have you got to do, man? Seriously, just how about you don't go on your 8th cruise this year and go out and help some people? You can do it. It's a 2-day drive. Well, 3 days to take it easy. Yeah, depends how mad you are. I'm just on the M62 at the moment. I'm going past the house in the middle of the M62. You might see it out the window. For those of you who haven't ventured this far up north, the M62 is the motorway that links Liverpool to Hull. So it is the road to Hull that Chris Rea warned us about. It's Britain's highest motorway. It is indeed. I'm sorry I'm wobbling about so much. I wish I could do something to cure the wobbleness of the camera, but it would require me to touch the camera, and I'm not allowed to do that. Yeah. So if you look out this window here, you will see in a moment there a house. See the house there? See the house that just went past the window? So that's a house in the middle of the motorway. We're up a hill, highest motorway in Britain, or England, highest motorway in England, I think. And there's a house in the middle of the motorway, and it's someone's farm. And when they were building the motorway, they were like, right, you got to move, build the motorway. And the owner of the farm said no, I think. And so now there's a house in the middle of a motorway. The motorway goes either side of the property. I'm on the eastbound carriageway here. So on the left-hand side, well, I suppose both ways on the left-hand side. The property because we drive on the left. But yeah, it's going under the big concrete archway. Yeah, I don't like this motorway. I really don't. There's the arch behind us. It's pretty. It's nice to look out the window. And there's reservoirs and there's lots of hills and things. But yeah, it's usually quite congested. A bit of a nightmare. And as you get towards Leeds, they have like all those smart motorway system things set up where you've got to like constantly stare at your speedo to make sure that you haven't gone over the speed that you are allowed to do, which I find very tedious. So what I do when I'm coming back from Durham is I go via Barnard Castle. Yes, for an eye test. No, I go via Barnard Castle and then along the A66, which takes me over to the Lake District to Cumbria, and then I take the M6 down to Liverpool. That's what I normally do. I don't normally take this motorway, but I am very much aware that I did tell Catherine that I will be back last night at 12 o'clock, midnight at the latest. And the fact was that I wasn't even anywhere near Stockport at midnight last night. Also, another thing that a knock-on effect of this Brexit bureaucracy has had. Obviously, it meant that I didn't get to Stockport until 2 in the morning, which meant that I really couldn't keep driving. It wouldn't have been safe, especially driving on my own. At least when I had Natasha in the car, we could have a chat, you know, keep me awake. Yeah, it meant I had to pay for another day's insurance on this. And as anyone who's ever paid for 1 day of insurance on a vehicle knows, it's not cheap. And I couldn't. I just said, like, can we just get 3 hours? Can we just get 3 hours of insurance? No, gotta get the whole day, mate. So there you go. Barnard Castle. Someone's written something about Barnard Castle. I can't read that much while I'm driving. If you want me to read your comments, they generally have to be about 3 words and in capitals. Sorry. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. Oh, just flipped over again. Oh. So then, while I was travelling, let's talk about politics for a moment, because I do realise, sorry Graham, I wrote an essay, I can read that. When I was travelling on, and I do think that these videos should be on Graham Hughes Travels, because I'm travelling, aren't I? Rather than Graham Hughes Politics, but obviously Graham Hughes Politics has got a bigger reach. But I think maybe the next journey I might put on Graham Hughes Travels, because it might be a bit off-putting for people who don't know me, who don't subscribe to Graham Hughes Politics stuff and see me ranting at Boris Johnson each week, calling all the names under the sun. Might be a bit off-putting. I don't know. Like, where's he going about politics and then he's driving to Poland? That makes no sense. So I'm thinking of cleaving this off and putting it over onto the other side to Graham Hughes Travels instead. Because obviously it is a travel video, I guess. Maybe I'll edit these videos and put them onto Graham Hughes Travel. Can be done. Doesn't matter. I've got pretty much unlimited live footage that I can upload to Graham Hughes Travels. So yeah, build that channel up a little bit. Obviously I've got loads of content, years of content to put on that. Anyway, but yeah, I just want to talk a little bit politics, if you don't mind. Boris Johnson's number 10 issued with 126 fixed penalty notices, the overwhelming majority of which were for lower paid office workers, usually female, while the very, very rich male scumbags at the top got away with it again. And also it's come out that Boris Johnson had a discussion with Sue Gray about the publication of the report. And don't forget as well, it's not an independent investigation, it's an internal investigation. And Sue Gray works for Boris Johnson. So if you don't believe that this is going to be a whitewash, then, I've got a bitch to tell you. Hey, look, hope's things eternal. I hope it's not a whitewash. I hope it's not, but I have the feeling that this is going to be a whitewash. I really feel that in my bones that, Sue Gray report next week. Boris did nothing wrong. Oh, mate, Boris. He's so funny. Isn't he hilarious? I just want to ruffle his funny little hair on his funny little head. No. He's not your mate. He is the type of scumbag that would light a £50 note in front of a homeless person. The grey wash. Yeah, I like that. It's not good, is it? And the thing is, right, Sue Gray has got 2 choices, both of which are a bit shit for her. First one is to tell the truth and issue a very damning report about Boris Johnson and the culture of law breaking and depravity. Turning number 10 into baccalaureate orgy of booze, drugs and vice. I just, Absolutely, she could stick the dagger in. She really could. But Boris Johnson will do nothing about it, and she'll probably lose her job. She'll probably resign the fact that he did nothing about it. Or she could whitewash it, like we were just talking about, or greywash it, and say, oh well, you know, it's not his fault. He's just an idiot. You know, he's a man with the brain of a 6-year-old spoiled little brat. He is a fully grown man with the brain of the children, the bad children from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, all stuck together. This man is a one-man walking Augustus Gloop, Veruca Salt, Mike TV. Oh Christ, what's the other one called? Veruca Salt and oh shit! It will come to Violet Beauregard. Thank you, Brain, for reminding me. Is all the bad children from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory all just mashed into one horrible human being? But it's not his fault. It's not his fault because, you know, he grew up in such riches and it was a very difficult childhood he had because his dad used to beat the crap out of his mum every night. Once punched her in the face so hard, or so many times, that she was actually hospitalised. Boris Johnson's dad, Stanley Johnson, who's now a French citizen, it's all right for the rich, isn't it? Once hospitalised his wife by assaulting her, and they still let him go on I'm a Celebrity, get me out of here. They still think he's a funny guy to have on Loose Women and on the telly. Anyway, so so Sue Gray could do a whitewash report, and then she'd have to resign because people will say you haven't done your job properly, and she would resign in disgrace. So both of these scenarios ends with Sue Gray resigning. Now, she can either do it honourably by really sticking the knife into Johnson, or she can do it with a cloud over her head and everyone's just going to think that she is as obnoxious, disgusting, and as abhorrent and as hypocritical as Boris Johnson and everyone in his government. It's her choice. She's going to have to fall on a sword either way, because that's the way it works in Boris Johnson's administration. Don't forget, Priti Patel was found by an internal investigation to have bullied her staff, one of which actually left his job because he was being bullied so much by Priti Patel. Clear breach of the ministerial code, it said so in the report, and yet, Priti Patel was not fired from her post as Home Secretary, and in fact the guy who compiled the report resigned instead. He lost his job. Top civil servant. Same thing's going to happen to Sue Gray, my friends. You mark my words. You mark my words. Unless Boris Johnson, she eviscerates him and does actually resign, which I can't see it happening, guys. Guy's an absolute scumbag. I really want to do a scripted drama called Little Boo, and it's about Caligula being born now. It's really about Boris Johnson, and do 5 episodes, and it tells this guy's life from his private school education, his university, he went to Oxbridge, his time as a newspaper man, then his time as mayor of the capital city, and then he becomes, in the last episode, he becomes Prime Minister. And along the way, it's just an absolute cemetery full of corpses of dead people that he has destroyed, lives that he has destroyed on his way to the top. Ex-colleagues, ex-pupils at his school, his ex-wives, just people he has used, chewed up, spat out. And I want to make it really, really visceral and make it so you watch the show and absolutely hate this character by the end of it. Kind of want to make it so you kind of like him at the beginning and you think he's quite funny. You're a bit forgiving because he's quite funny about stuff, but the stuff he gets up to by the end is just so shocking and wrong. Like Walter White raping Skylar levels of wrong. It's like, oh my god, okay, I can't believe I ever rooted for this guy. He is an absolute scumbag. That's what I want to do. Wish I knew some TV producers. Although Channel 4 probably won't be up for picking that up at the moment. Maybe I should pitch it to them. Hey, anyone watching this from Channel 4? Let's make a drama about Boris Johnson. I mean, about Caligula being born now, and called Little Boo, for obvious reasons. If you look up Caligula on Wikipedia, or in an encyclopedia, which is what we used to have when we were little. People used to sell encyclopedias. Like, you get the whole set of Encyclopedia Britannica, absolutely like 33 volume set. It costs hundreds of pounds. All these books, not everything. And now it's all on everyone's phone. And yet, people are more ignorant than ever. How did that work? How did that happen? I'm the bad guy. How did that happen? So I'm driving on the smart motorway now. The smart motorway bit of the M62. This is the most painful bit. I'm gonna go at 50 miles an hour, or as my speedo's telling me, 80 kilometers an hour. I'm doing my mathematics in my head here. We've got an average speed check. Oh god, I hate this. When you're driving something that doesn't have cruise control, it's so painful. Again, this is like how life discriminates against people who are not rich. In the same way that it costs more to get public transport somewhere now than to drive. So if you can afford to get a car, it is cheaper to get you from A to B, your family from A to B, than it would be to get on public transport. Obviously, if you had, your partner, 2 kids, and you all tried to go down to London together on the train from Durham, you're talking £150 per person. Per person. Yes, so obviously the kids go cheaper. So let's say 500 quid. Let's say £500 for a family of 4 to go to London for the weekend. You can hire a car, fill it with fuel, pay for the insurance, pay for everything. You can buy a car actually, drive it down to London for less money than that. Public transport. But yeah, another way that life just discriminates against people who are not rich is that things like cruise control. You have cruise control on fancy cars. If you're rich, you can afford a car with cruise control. So you see the 50 sign, just press your cruise control button and you travel along at 50 and you won't get a fine. Whereas the people who are economically disadvantaged have to keep looking at the speedo, which I think is a bit dangerous because you should be concentrating on the road. You should be looking at the road, obviously. On your speedo. Also, the fines that you get for speeding are, I don't believe they're linked to your salary. They might be, you're probably right, but it's just a fixed penalty fine. And that's the thing as well, the fixed penalty fines for most of the 126 number 10 staff who are fined, that could be a big chunk of their income. Some of them are on 26,000 a year, which isn't that much, especially after tax. But to Boris Johnson, who thinks that £250,000 a year is chicken feed, his words, not mine. It's nothing to him. Just pay the fine. That's why rich people speed in their cars, they don't care. And what they can do is they can afford fancy lawyers, so if they do get 12 points on the licence and have the licence taken off them, they can go to court and say, I need to be able to drive to do work. Not that they work, they're all trust fund kids or people who just made money from the house being worth more than it was. We've made houses worth so much now, more than the bricks and mortar and the land could possibly be worth. And you've got these yahoos in government and their client journalists whinging about people working from home. That's the new culture war, by the way. WFH. These people are working from home. Stop them. Why? They're more efficient and they're enjoying a better work-life balance. No, we've got to stop them. We've got to stop these people working from home. God damn it. Why? because they're not working. You know, they are working, but they're going to the fridge and taking some cheese and they're not really. The Prime Minister said so, or the Prime Minister who literally works from home. Okay, or maybe we should listen to one of his prostitutes who work for the Murdoch Media or the Barclay Brothers Media. Barclay Brother Media. One of them's dead. Not enough of them. Or Lord Rothermere, owner of the Daily Mail, non-dom status, doesn't pay any tax in this country, nice guy. Or maybe Evangy Lebedev, the owner of the Evening Standard and the I newspaper, who is Lord Siberia, Lord of Siberia. Also, our Prime Minister's pimp, a man who organises prostitutes to have sex with the Prime Minister. That's a bit of a gruesome thing to think about, but that's literally what this man did to become a lord, an unelected lawmaker in the UK for life, lifetime appointment as a British lawmaker. And will they show us the evidence that was provided by MI5 saying that saying that he shouldn't be made a lord? No, we can't, because of parliamentary privilege or something. This is after Lebedev himself went on Twitter waving his dick about, saying, I'm going to, I've got nothing to hide, release the papers. And then when it turned out he did have something to hide, that, he's probably a Russian spy. He's definitely a pimp, we know that. So he's a Russian pimp, might be a Russian spy, definitely a Russian gangster. I mean, I'm sorry, but I don't think he should be a British lawmaker, an unelected British lawmaker for life, especially with what his country is currently doing to Ukraine. That's just me. But yeah, these people, they just break the law, they get away with it, they break the law, they leave wreckage in their wake. They were careless people, Tom and Daisy. Just destroyed people's lives and then retreated into their money or their vast carelessness or whatever it was that kept them together, and left other people to clean up their mess. Sorry, I'm paraphrasing here. I can't actually quote from the Great Gatsby word for word, but something along those lines. So here we go. We are now coming up to lorry behind me. Lorries behind me. I have a lorry in front of me. I can't see the signs. Get out of my way, lorry. It's in the middle lane. Get out the middle lane, lorry. Come on, lorry. Get out. Lorry Anderson. Right. Let me around you. There's two lorries in the middle lane and there's no one on the inside lane. That's really irritating. We get downtown delivers. Go back to Downton Abbey. Oh, there is someone on the inside lane. There's a lorry in the inside lane. Overtaking very, very slowly. Couldn't see it. Okay, right. Well, I want to stop the feed, or at least switch it around so you can see the motorway. But unfortunately I can't touch my phone. So you're kind of stuck with me. Maybe if I lose signal for some reason, the broadcast might stop. Otherwise, I'm going to keep going. Right, just at junction 29 now. The north leads. The north leads where? Where does the north lead to? I'm getting onto the M1 for a little bit. The M1 and then the M1A. Which is a bit mad because now between Leeds and Newcastle it's motorway all the way, I think, so you don't need the A anymore. You know what I'm saying? See, I just go around changing all the names of the motorways and things. But the M1 stops, doesn't it, when it gets near Leeds? So you just have it as an extension of the M1. It's not an A road anymore. Motorway all the way. Right. Okay, I have a choice. Do I want to go M1 the north, capitals, or M1 the south? Leeds or Wakefield? I'm sorry to my Yorkshire followers, my Yorkshire viewers, my Yorkshire subscribers. It's not my favourite part of the world. Sorry, Yorkshire. But I know it became Merseyside a few years before I was born, but I'll always feel I'm a Lancastrian. Because Liverpool and Manchester used to be part of Lancaster, like Lancashire, until they made Greater Manchester and Merseyside. I think 1974, but don't quote me on that. I'll have to hazard a guess and say it was 1974 that Merseyside came into existence, along with Humberside, Tyneside, some other sides. Someone else has just written an essay. I can't read essays while I'm driving, guys. Sorry. You can talk to each other if you like. Looking forward to doing anything with Cat and the kids. Yes. Oh, that's what I was going to say. So I'm driving back now because I've got to build a treehouse. I think I mentioned this at the start. Yeah, I've got to build a treehouse today. That's my job. Although the weather's not looking great. I don't know. Why? Why did I say I'll build a treehouse this weekend? I don't know. I'm going to build a treehouse using my mad ninja-like skills, carpentry skills learnt from 2 months on an island with Marcus of All Shorts fame. I'm sure his spirit will be with me, saying, Graham, drill a hole before you put a screw through that piece of wood. Otherwise, you'll split the wood, you idiot. I'm really proud of what Marcus and I did on Ginger Island, actually. It was, you know, what we achieved in the short space of time that we were there. We just made the place look absolutely lovely. I mean, the house was absolutely transformed, and those the countertops in the kitchen, looking at them, you will think that we spent hundreds of dollars on them, you know, get these beautiful tropical hardwoods countertops, but we made them like, they were literally cut down from a tree by Ishmael's cousin, cut into planks by eye with a chainsaw, and then stuck together and sanded and planed by Marcus, a little bit by me. I didn't stick together, Marcus did that, but and then I varnished them. And the varnish was just like miracle. It was just like just turning this really nice piece looking wood, and it just turned it and just brought out all of the grain in the wood. Just it was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff done. Rescued the boat from the water. Built a walkway from the boat dock to the house. Now it's available on Airbnb. It's only like 50 quid a night. You get a whole island, my island. Although, to be honest with you, if you gave some money towards the restoration, I'll let you stay there for free. So just get in touch. If you fancy a trip to Bocas del Toro anytime soon, let me know. Oh. Ooh, it's a Santa Police. There's a car behind me that wants to get past into an Audi. Oh. Okay, why are you still so close to me? Why are you so close to me? Wait, don't laugh. Why is it always tailgaters and Audis? Why do Audis always have to tailgate? Why? Like, they were tailgating me on the inside lane, for Christ's sake. I mean, okay, if you're dawdling in the fast lane, I don't condone it and I don't do it myself, but it's a little bit more understandable. But literally tailgating someone in the slow lane when they are behind the police vehicle, or behind the police van. Oh dear. Well, police van in front of me. And in front of the police van is a police car on the back of a low loader. So obviously they've had a crash or a breakdown or something. Guessing that the police have picked that mates up. Kind of intrigued now. Oh wow, there's a sticker on the police van saying they're recruiting. Would anyone like to join the Yorkshire Police? No. Oh, it doesn't look smashed up or anything. So I'm just being nosy at this police car on the back of a low loader. It's being followed by a police van, which obviously had the police in from the car. Maybe they ran out of petrol. Oh, or maybe they went over a bridge that was out, so they had to jump up in the air and then come down again. Right, I am 1 hour and 24 minutes. Oh God. Away from Durham. I am going to stop because I want to stop the feed. No offence to you guys, but I can't just keep talking, drivel for another hour and a half. Services, M1, no services. It's not very helpful. But the A1M has services of 15 miles, so give me 15 minutes and then I'll put it to services and unlock this broadcast on the head. No, I can't talk, as you know, as anyone who's watched any of these live streams will attest. I can talk the ears off a donkey. However, I don't have a drink at the moment. Coffee is empty, so need to get a drink. Very noisy road. That's noisy. Let's get that. See, I'll make that bad sound go away.
Make the bad man go away.
Ollie, the dog, Oliver, is so adorable. Maltese he is. He's like a little miniature Westie. I always like Westies. Now Catherine wants one. Can we get one? It costs £1,000. Plus then you have to feed them and walk them and pick up their poo. I think the last one is the one that sort of bothers me the most. When I lived on the island in Panama, I had the dog and I fed him. I had to take him for walks. He was just running around the island to his heart's content. And I didn't have to pick up his poo because he didn't actually go on public footpaths. But yeah, the idea of having to reach down on the ground and pick up an animal's crap in a little plastic bag, which is not good for the environment, people. Have a think about it, and then deposit it in a bin. That's just gross. That's just gross. Like, you know, just grabbing hold of the. It's squeamish. That's when I become more of a cat person. So 15 minutes to the Love Shack. Well, no, to the A1M. No, to the services on the A1M. Struggling along at 100 kilometres an hour. Without getting overtaken. Because that's only 60 miles an hour in old money. Can't wait till this Brexit thing comes along. We can start, like, you know, working out where to go in miles. And then we can buy pints. Like, you can buy a pint of milk, or we can buy like a pint of lager. Imagine that. Instead of having to buy a Europeanly mandated half a litre, which is only 500 millilitres, not 568 millilitres. I mean, come on. I mean, you know, I need that extra 68 millilitres, or it's not a real drink for me. Yeah, and I can't wait as well to experience things from other countries that we were previously unable to trade with in the past. I can't wait to get myself an Australian Akubra hat, you know, made of kangaroo hide, because if I can get one of them, it'd be great. If you open up these new trading opportunities, I'll be able to get one of those hats that I've always wanted. I was just thinking actually about my hat. Sorry, I was going to make a joke about can't wait to taste Kentucky Fried Chicken. Kentucky is a place in America. I think its capital is Hartford or Frankfurt, one of the two. I'm going to say Frankfurt. Can someone look up the capital of Kentucky? I think it's Frankfurt. Yeah, and they have this stuff called fried chicken, and it's like an American delicacy. I think it's like a nouveau cuisine, and apparently now that we're Brexited, we'll be able to trade with America and get these things. They also have a thing called a Whopper and a Big Mac, and the one that I'm most excited about, they have a drink, and it's a bit like dandelion and burdock, I think, and it's called Coca-Cola. And I've never had it because I'm not allowed to go to America anymore. But because the new opportunities that have been afforded us via Brexit to trade with these countries around the world that aren't in Europe, I'll be able to try this Coca-Cola. It's going to be phenomenal. I'm so happy that mostly the elderly of this country decided to impose this upon us. The past was yours, but the future's no. The past was yours, and the future's yours as well, which is a case of reliving the past and taking things back to 1973. In fact, the documents I had to submit yesterday for Oliver to come into the country were all headed with the policy from 1974. 1974 government policy, so nearly 50 years old policy. Revived after getting rid of it, because we just had the EU passports, and that was good enough for not getting rabies into the country. It was all good, and that's what happened, Your Honour. Because old people said, I want things to go back to the way it was when I was young, and you could hang people for being gay, and you knew what a serial killer was because you had so many of them, and everyone on the TV was a massive nonce. Let's go back to those days. Yay, the old days were great. Frankfurt equals capital. Thank you very much, Just Me Videos. See, ask me another. Yeah, so I can't wait to check that out. Also, I was going to say about my hat. Now, my hat has just turned 20 years old. I know, congratulations, hat. So I got this hat back in May 2002, or 2002, as some people weirdly said at the time. And I got it in the original. I got it in Alice Springs in Australia, which couldn't be more in Australia. It's literally slap bang in the middle of Australia, in the Northern Territory, but it's in the middle of the country. It's where Uluru is, near Uluru, Katajuta National Park. Phenomenal rock formations in the desert, almost otherworldly. Looks like a chunk of Mars has just crash landed on Earth. So I got my first ever Cooper hat from. Needed it, stopped my head from getting sunburned. And that hat accompanied me on many adventures around Australia, New Zealand, Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, Bolivia, Chile, Ecuador, Peru, Colombia, Ireland, Greece, Spain, loads of places travelled around with me. And then I lost it at a music festival. Freaking tit. I was getting drunk in the signing tent with the Scissor Sisters. I think me and Animatronic were having a bit of a drinking competition. And then I heard the Pixies come on the stage. And I was like, oh my God, it's the Pixies, they're like my favourite band ever. And they just reformed. And Kim Deal was part of the lineup at the time. And so I ran out into the crowd with my hat on. And it was Boss. And they played Digging for Fire. And back in the day, when I was a kid, we used to couch surf. I still do that. We used to crowd surf. You don't really see this at gigs anymore, unfortunately. It was a great time. You used to get kicked in the head if you were stupid enough to be in the front. But if you were surfing on the crowd, it was quite fun. And did a bit of surfing, USA, and woke up an hour later at the side of the stage with no hat. Well, side of the crowd. With no hat. I didn't have a hat on. Cried myself to sleep, I did. And also the Strokes were playing, so I missed most of the Pixies set, which is very upsetting. So the moral of the story is, kids, don't drink because you might lose your hat. My second hat I lost in Bali, I think. Where did I lose my second hat? I don't know. I know my third hat had just disappeared in space and time. Like it was in my flat in Liverpool, and then one day it just wasn't. My fourth hat was the hat that I took around the world, meeting the first 140 odd countries of the Odyssey expedition, and it shrank. So that ended up at my mum's. And it's I've got it in Durham. I've got it in Durham still. It's tiny. It looks like a little novelty tiny hat that you wear if you're going on a books night or a hen do, stag night, whatever. But no, it just shrank. Traveling through South America, Latin America, the Caribbean, North America, Europe, all of Africa, and yeah, back through the Middle East into the UK. Swapped it and got myself a new hat, which did me until I lost it in Bali. Oh no! You're right, I didn't lose hat number 2 in Bali. I lost it in Thailand at a half moon party because I was so drunk I thought the police were coming, and I decided to run through the forest because they had the full moon party was on the beach and they had the half moon party which is in the jungle, and for some reason I decided to run through a jungle. I was very, very drunk. Very drunk. I've been drinking the buckets of joy that they have, which is vodka, whiskey, and lots and lots of Red Bull and Coca-Cola, I think. And it comes in a bucket full of ice. It's insane. It gets you really, really wasted. And yeah, I woke up with my face all bashed in because I had run into a tree. Literally, I'd run into a tree, and I lost my hat. Yeah, not my finest hour. But happily, I was going to Australia after Thailand, so I managed to get a new hat in Victoria Market in Melbourne. Yeah, and that's the one that disappeared. And then the fourth one I travelled with. The fifth one I lost in Bali. Night out, I got on the back of a motorbike, a motor taxi, to go back to where I was staying with Neil. And I put my hat between me and the guy in front of me who was driving the motorbike. And when I got off the motorbike, it wasn't there. So I don't know how it migrated from in front of me to falling off. But again, I'd had a little bit to drink. You see a theme running through this story. Anyway, so then I had a good spell of about 4 weeks or 3 weeks or something when I went down to East Timor. I met Jose Ramos Horta, the then president and Nobel Prize winner, Peace Prize winner of East Timor, and headed back to Bali and picked up a new hat, which did me until got me through Papua New Guinea and then Australia and then all around the Pacific Islands until I got to Taiwan. Then someone pinched it off my head as people wanted to photograph with me, and I said okay, and I was out in a bar and someone took the hat off my head for a photo, and I thought, oh, they're just being funny. And then once the photo was taken, I was like, where's my hat gone? And some guy literally walked over, took the hat off my head and just walked out with my hat. Bastard. So I cursed him and his family and his descendants and his ancestors, and then I had to get a new hat. So Mandy, my then girlfriend, was kind enough to send one to Hong Kong, where I was heading after Taiwan, and I ended up going from Taiwan to Guam, Northern Mariana Islands. I went to Palau and the Federated States of Micronesia, went to Philippines, then got to Hong Kong, picked up my new hat in Hong Kong, and then had that for about a week. Had a big night out in Hong Kong. You've got to understand, I made a TV show for National Geographic Adventure channel, and a lot of people in Britain are like, yeah, whatever, Graham, because they didn't see it. It wasn't on in this country, but it was on in a lot of other countries. And as a result, when people saw me, went, oh, "You're that guy traveling to every country in the world." I was like, "Yes, that's me." And I got a lot of free drinks. What can I say? Anyway, so boozy night out, and I had one last photo of me with that hat on, and I felt so bad because my girlfriend had sent me a new hat. I felt so bad. And so I bought one. I got it sent to Singapore and travelled down to Singapore without a hat. There's a picture of me on Koh San Road in Bangkok in Thailand without a hat because I didn't have one at that point, but I didn't tell my girlfriend I didn't have one. Although she can't suss it out. She's like, "Why aren't you wearing your hat in your pictures? You always wear your hat." So I a bit of a giveaway. Picked up the new hat in Singapore, and that hat made it to the end of the Odyssey expedition. I took it to South Sudan, and then on to Russia at the very, very end of the journey, and then back to the UK. And that hat went on to SOS Island with me, and when I won SOS Island, I had the hat. And then I won Ginger Island, and for the first few months of living on Ginger Island, I had the hat, but it shrank, as the hats generally do after a couple of years. So I gave that hat to my then girlfriend, Casey, as a leaving gift, and then when we split up. Yeah. And then I got a new hat. I got a new one. And they're just flipping about, which is groovy. And that hat did me for the end of my time in Ginger Island, and also through the Odyssey expedition. And then I went up to Scotland just before lockdown started in 2020. And I left my hat on the train on the way back to Durham. I had had a couple of drinks, and and then I bought this hat. So that's the story. Did you enjoy that? Did you enjoy hearing about all my hats? I think you did. I did. I think I just got beeped because I was in the wrong lane for doing that roundabout. I'm very sorry, Mr. Lexus or whatever the car is behind me. Subaru. Followed by a Subaru. Okay. Confusing signage is upsetting the car in front of me. Oh no, it's a Hyundai. Sorry. Cars, fuel. I noticed this, when you pull over, right, in like Germany or Poland or something, you literally pull over and the service station is just there. But in the UK, you gotta drive around like for 2 hours. It's all one-way system. There's snakes around to try and get into the services. Right, I am just coming into the services now, which means I will be stopping, and I'll be able to stop the live stream because I'll be able to touch my phone. See, law-abiding citizen, everyone. Law-abiding citizen. That's what I am. Also, not a good idea to have video evidence of your crime of touching the screen. Broadcasting live on the YouTubes. Right, here we go. Just tuck into here. Alright, well, thanks for watching. That's the last video for Operation Fetch the Pooch. We will be I'll be going back out to Ukraine in a couple of weeks' time with Doc Gordon, who's going to be going back there in the 4x4, and we'll be doing a convoy, which should be fun. So we'll be putting up loads of pictures and doing a lot of material for that. Thank you for watching. If you would like to chip in for the fuel or the cost of getting through the Channel Tunnel, or for the coffee, please feel free to head to UK4UKR.com and throw some money into the pot. If you've already done that, or you're not in a position to be able to chip any money in, please feel free to share this, share the site UK4 UK4UKR.com. Please share and let people know what we're doing, because we're going to do this again in 2 weeks' time, and we can only do that if we have some sponsorship money in order to do it, because yeah, we're running a little low on funding as a result of all the trips that we've already done. It's surprisingly expensive to head over in a van to Ukraine and back, especially with the price of fuel at the moment going through the roof for various reasons. One of the main ones being that the people in charge of the world are evil and they want to make as much money as possible. It's the only reason why fuel is so expensive. Pivot Graham, thank you very much. That's from Imad there. Pivot as well, which is Ukrainian for thank you. So Pivot for watching, and I will see you very, very soon. I promise. I'll be back with you, and I'll get around to doing that show about Côte d'Ivoire that I've been threatening to do for the last 2 months. We will see. Right, I can touch my camera now. Yay! All right, see you later. Thanks for everyone. Thanks everyone for watching. Bye bye.